Sylvester Stallone's life is one of the most remarkable stories in Hollywood history, a story that continues to inspire millions around the world. His journey did not begin with glamour, fame, or success. It began with hardship, pain, and a world that didn't expect much from him. But Stallone turned every challenge into a stepping stone that helped him rise beyond anyone's expectations. He was born in New York City on July 6, 1946. Due to complications during his birth, the lower part of his face was partially paralyzed. This paralysis gave him his now famous slurred speech and unique facial expression. For many people, something like this might have been reason to give up on dreams of acting, but Stallone never allowed his physical limitations to define him. Instead, they became part of his identity and later one of the most recognizable features in Hollywood. His childhood was far from stable. He grew up in a home full of conflict and arguments, which affected him emotionally. As a young boy, Stallone never felt like he truly fit in. He moved between different schools and struggled academically. Teachers didn't believe he would accomplish much, and he was often labeled as a troublemaker. But running under all that chaos was a spark, a hidden desire to express himself, to become someone greater than his circumstances. During his teenage years, Stallone discovered a growing interest in sports and the arts. He played football, participated in school dramas, and learned how to express emotions through performance. But it wasn't until college that he realized he wanted to pursue acting seriously. After attending the American College of Switzerland and later the University of Miami, he made a bold decision. He would move back to New York City and become an actor. This dream was far easier imagined than achieved. New York was a tough place, especially for an aspiring actor without money, connections, or a perfect face. Stallone went from one audition to another, often facing rejection. Casting directors refused him again and again, saying his looks were unusual, his voice was strange, and his style didn't match what they wanted. But Stallone was not the kind of person who gave up easily. He worked countless small jobs to survive, cleaning cages at a zoo, working as an usher at a theater, and doing whatever he could just to afford food and rent. Yet the rejections didn't stop. At one point, his financial situation became so desperate that he had to sell many of his belongings. But even during this difficult period, he continued to write. Writing became his escape and his way of expressing the world he experienced. This painful chapter of his life shaped his most iconic creation. One night, Stallone watched a boxing match between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner. Wepner was considered a nobody, an underdog with little chance of surviving the fight. But Wepner surprised everyone by standing his ground round after round. This fight sparked something deep inside Stallone. It reminded him of himself, an underdog fighting against the impossible. That night, he started writing the story of a small-time boxer who gets a chance to fight the heavyweight champion of the world. That story became Rocky. Stallone wrote the first draft in just 3 days. It wasn't polished, but it had heart. When he showed the script to studios, many were interested, but with one condition. They wanted a famous actor to play Rocky. Stallone refused. He knew that Rocky was his story, his soul on paper, and no one could play the role better than him. Even when he was offered large sums of money, he didn't give in. He was broke, hungry, and struggling, but he stood firm. Eventually, a small studio agreed to make the movie with Stallone as the lead actor. The budget was low and the production was challenging, but everyone involved could feel the magic. When Rocky released in 1976, it became an instant sensation. Audiences loved the film, critics praised it, and it won 3 Oscars, including Best Picture. Stallone went from a struggling actor to a global icon. But success didn't change him overnight. Instead, it pushed him to work harder. He followed Rocky with a series of sequels, each exploring deeper emotions, personal battles, and themes of perseverance. Rocky Balboa was not just a character, he was a symbol of hope, representing every person who ever felt like life was against them. However, Stallone didn't stop at one legendary character. In the 1980s, he introduced the world to another unforgettable hero, John Rambo. While Rocky fought in the ring, Rambo fought on the battlefield, carrying emotional scars from war. Through Rambo, Stallone explored themes of trauma, loneliness, and survival. The role required intense physical training, mental discipline, and emotional expression, things Stallone was already living in his real life. By the mid-1980s, Stallone had become one of the biggest action stars in the world. His dedication to fitness, discipline, and self-improvement became legendary. But behind all the fame and success, he continued to face personal struggles and emotional battles. Yet he always found a way to rise again, just like Rocky always got back up after every fall. After the massive success of Rocky and the powerful impact of Rambo, Sylvester Stallone entered a new stage of his life, one filled with fame, wealth, and countless opportunities. But behind the spotlight, he continued to experience challenges that would test his strength in new ways. Success brought pressure, expectations, and the heavy responsibility of living up to the legend he had created. Throughout the late 1980s and early 1990s, Stallone worked tirelessly on new films, always pushing himself to deliver something extraordinary. But Hollywood is unpredictable. Not every movie he created became a hit. Some films received poor reviews, and critics began saying that his career was starting to fade. For many actors, such criticism can be devastating. But Stallone was not an ordinary actor. He was a fighter. And fighters don't walk away when the world doubts them. They rise again. During this time, Stallone focused on reinventing himself. He refused to be trapped in the image of just an action hero. He wanted to show his emotional range, his depth, and the artistic side that many people didn't know he had. He directed more films, experimented with new genres, and participated in personal projects. Even though not all of them succeeded commercially, every experience added a new layer to his creativity. The 1990s brought new challenges into Stallone's personal life as well. He went through difficult relationships, emotional ups and downs, and the struggles of balancing fame with family. Yet through these personal storms, he continued to work with determination. His passion for storytelling never died. In fact, it grew even stronger as he matured and understood life more deeply. One of the most touching parts of Stallone's life was his relationship with his son, Sage Stallone. They shared a deep bond, and Sage even appeared with him in Rocky V. But tragedy struck in 2012 when Sage passed away unexpectedly. This loss broke Stallone emotionally. For a time, he stepped away from public life. The world saw a different side of him, a father grieving the loss of his child, a man dealing with unbearable pain, and a human being trying to heal. But even in this darkest chapter, Stallone found strength. He honored Sage's memory by continuing his work, channeling his emotions into his performances. His comeback showed the world that true strength is not just physical, it is the courage to move forward even when your heart is shattered. Stallone's career took a new and surprising turn in the mid-2000s. Hollywood was changing, new actors were rising, and many believed that Stallone's time as a leading star was over. But Stallone had a different plan. In 2006, he returned with Rocky Balboa, a film that many critics called one of the most emotional and inspiring sequels ever made. The story followed an older Rocky who comes out of retirement not to prove something to the world, but to prove something to himself. The film touched millions and revived Stallone's career once again. But he didn't stop there. In 2008, Stallone brought back another legend, John Rambo. This time, the character was older, quieter, and more haunted. The film showed a deeper and more emotional side of Rambo, reminding the world that Stallone was not just an action star, but a powerful actor with emotional depth. After re-establishing his legacy, Stallone surprised everyone again by creating The Expendables, a franchise that brought together some of the biggest action stars in history. The idea was bold and exciting, and fans loved it. Through this series, Stallone proved he could still lead massive blockbuster movies even after decades in the industry. As Stallone grew older, he became more reflective, more appreciative of life, and more connected to his fans. He often spoke about perseverance, hard work, and the importance of never giving up. His interviews became sources of inspiration for young actors and ordinary people around the world. Stallone had experienced failure, rejection, heartbreak, and success, and through it all, he had learned that the greatest victory is staying true to yourself. In 2015, Stallone delivered one of the most powerful performances of his career in Creed. This time, he wasn't the young fighter in the ring. He played the mentor, an older, wiser Rocky Balboa guiding the son of his late friend Apollo Creed. The performance was emotional, heartfelt, and deeply human. It earned Stallone a Golden Globe Award and an Academy Award nomination, proving once again that true talent and passion never fade with time. As Stallone moved into the later years of his career, he continued to inspire millions. He embraced new opportunities, explored new roles, and stayed connected with his fans. Whether through interviews, social media, or public appearances, he always carried the same message: life will knock you down, but you must always get back up. Today, Sylvester Stallone stands as a symbol of determination and resilience. His story is not just about Hollywood success, it is about fighting through adversity, believing in yourself when no one else does, and turning pain into strength. From a struggling actor who could barely afford food to one of the most iconic figures in cinema history, Stallone's journey proves that dreams come true only when you refuse to give up. His life teaches us that success is measured not by how many times you win, but how many times you rise after falling. Stallone rose every single time, stronger, wiser, and more determined than before. And that is why his story continues to inspire generations. In the end, Sylvester Stallone's legacy is not just Rocky or Rambo. His true legacy is the message behind his journey. No matter how tough life becomes, you must keep fighting, because somewhere deep inside each of us is a champion waiting to rise.